When they asked what my blood type was, that was a reality moment.
Yeah. ABC 7's Cheryl Jennings takes us through Afghanistan's minefields at 11.
This is ABC 7 News at 11.
ABC 7's Cheryl Jennings takes us inside Afghanistan for a look at how things have changed since U.S. forces toppled the Taliban. After nearly 30 years of war, Afghanistan, though, is finally beginning to heal. Progress made in some part by the help of a Bay Area mother and her teenage daughter. For years, they've been raising money, pennies at a time, to remove landmines there. ABC 7's Cheryl Jennings followed them inside Afghanistan on a journey of hope to see what has changed in that ravaged country.
This is something few Westerners have ever seen. Afghan girls going to school and playing soccer, something the Taliban forbid until it was forced out of power by American forces in 2001. But the kids were still in jeopardy because of thousands of landmines laid by the Taliban in the 90s and by the Soviets in the 80s.
They were walking to and from school through minefields beforehand, and obviously that's a mother's worst nightmare.
You can make a difference, redesign the tapestry. Stand up and be counted in our children's destiny.
18-year-old Kaylee Kuhn, her mother Heidi, and I launched a children's penny drive in dozens of California schools through their San Rafael organization, Roots of Peace. Those pennies went to remove landmines at schools and soccer fields.
It's the children of America who want to help you.
That's our system.
That noise is the sound this metal detector makes when it picks up what could be a landmine. Heidi Kuhn, her daughter Kylie, and I made a choice to walk through an active minefield to observe the dangerous demining work underway.
When they asked what my blood type was, that was a reality moment.
Yeah.
Roots of Peace hired the demining organization, the Halo Trust, to find and destroy landmines. This small vineyard had 26 mines. It was on the front line.
We walked together, all three of us, through a minefield. We were not on the front line of the battle zone between the Taliban in the recent war, but we were on the front line of peace.
We watched the deadly power of just one mine. Here is one of the harsh truths about landmines. They're innocent victims. We met some of them at the International Committee of the Red Cross in Kabul. We met very determined people of all ages learning to use their new prosthetic limbs.
He will get a leg, he will walk, he will work again, so that life is starting again for him.
Most Americans, fortunately, will never have to learn the fear of landmines and experience how those mines completely shut down any progress for the future. Once proud and self-reliant farmers and their families were starving. They had to rely on foreign aid because they could not use their tiny gardens and vineyards. But that all changed after Roots of Peace raised the money to clear the landmines. Roots of Peace is also leading a consortium to help replant and rebuild the infrastructure.
The grapes are not of good enough quality to sell for table grapes, and so they put them into raisins.
But the consortium is changing that and helping Afghan farmers make history. They're on target to harvest and export 800 tons of table grapes. The consortium includes grape experts from the University of California at Davis and a $10 million grant from the government. The experts help teach farmers new techniques.
They'll get better money, higher price for their grapes if they sell them as table grapes. This country had once been reduced to rubble and refugees, but now is preparing for a harvest of hope.
Powerful look inside Afghanistan by our own Cheryl Jennings. Her reports from that country continue this Tuesday on ABC 7 News at 6. You can watch them on our website at abc7news.com, and you can also look at the photos that Cheryl took in Afghanistan. You can also read her blog. There's also a link that'll give you more information on the Roots of Peace organization.
And ABC 7 Cheryl Jennings inside Afghanistan tonight. A Bay Area charity changing children's lives a penny at a time.
And later, our Cheryl Jennings travels inside Afghanistan, where Bay Area children have planted the roots of peace.
You're watching ABC 7 News at 6.
Well, tonight we continue our series Inside Afghanistan. Cheryl Jennings recently spent several days there following a mother and daughter that are from the Bay Area who have been raising money to remove landmines.
That's right. And they are with Roots of Peace, and they visited 2 schools that helped with money donated by Bay Area school children. It was a dangerous journey, but well worth the risk.
This was our first look at Afghanistan from the air after flying for nearly 30 hours to get to Kabul, the capital. My photographer Mike Clark and I went on a dangerous mission with San Rafael's Heidi Kuhn and her 18-year-old daughter Kylie. They visited 2 schools near the Bagram military base that were helped by donations of millions of pennies from Bay Area school children.
We went over to see exactly how the pennies were used and how much of a difference it made.
The donations for these children were made to the Roots of Peace Children's Penny Campaign. Roots of Peace was founded by Heidi Kuhn in 1997 to remove landmines in war-torn countries. That inspired her daughter, 16 years old at the time, and me, to co-found the Penny Campaign, so Bay Area children could reach out to the children in countries like Afghanistan.
Thank you very much for your help.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure to see all this with all the children here.
Tasha Kaur, thank you, from the principal, after he learned that young Kylie's leadership inspired Bay Area school children to donate more than 10 million pennies over the last 2 years. That's $100,000. We were made to feel very welcome. The help they received saved lives and limbs.
They were walking to and from school through minefields beforehand, so we were able to clear the area around the school, creating a safe buffer zone.
Not only that, these pennies put a new roof on the girls' school.
The roof would leak on the children when they're trying to study.
The money also bought swing sets where these girls enjoyed acting up for our camera.
Where's my team? So we've also were able to get the soccer field, equipment for the girls to play, and soccer goals, jerseys, and the girls seem to appreciate it so much.
Just a few years ago, under the Taliban, girls were not allowed to go to school, and soccer was out of the question.
You know, the girls here are so grateful for everything that Roots of Peace and Pennies for Peace has done for them. The swing sets, for example, and the sidewalk over there, and the soccer goalposts, and the uniforms. They do want a green soccer field. They want a green grassy field, and they also want pens.
Kylie and Heidi told me that request is already on the list. Once they left this group of children, they walked next door to the Bagram Boys' School. There, the principal let the boys out of school to honor Kylie.
With the help of Roots of Peace and the Children of America, we were able to raise the funds to give you guys this nice flat soccer field.
This school is home to over 1,000 students who couldn't play outside the classrooms because the field next door was heavily mined. However, Kylie's Penny Campaign got rid of the mines and flattened the field.
And so now they're just playing soccer with all their might, loving it. And once again, we donated equipment to their soccer team as well.
American children like these can feel proud of their donations. Del Mar Middle School in Tiburon started the first penny fundraising drive in 2003. Nearly 100 other schools joined in over the next couple of years. And we even saw kids here looking at a scrapbook sent by students from San Domenico School in San Anselmo.
Just such a wonderful thing that's going on here. You guys playing on an actual front line of a battle. I'd like to present you guys with this football. So, thank you.
Roots of Peace built for them this field, and they are very happy.
Tashakkur.
Kylie's Roots of Peace penny campaign was honored by the UN Secretary General's wife in New York in 2004 and by Colin Powell in Washington, D.C. when he was Secretary of State in 2004. Kylie has already chosen her next project. She spotted this rural village on the road to Kabul where children go to school in tiny tents.
There were only 3 tents and 5 classes, and so 2 of the classes had to be held outside and in this blistering sun.
She's hoping the Roots of Peace Children's Penny campaign will be able to raise money to buy a much larger tent. And when that happens, she will most likely hear the soft voices of other Afghan children saying, "Tashakkur, Kylie. Thank you." And to find out more about Roots of Peace, go to abc7news.com and we'll link you to their website. Now, tomorrow night, we're going to take you to an active minefield where we make a treacherous walk to find out what it takes to remove landmines and how it's helping farmers in Afghanistan.
A very unselfish young lady.
Yeah, really.
She is amazing. She really worked hard on this.
And it's such a serious problem. I've heard estimates that as many as 12 people in Afghanistan alone are killed or maimed by landmines every day.
That's a good figure, yeah. It's a terrible figure, too.
Thank you. At ABC 7's Cheryl Jennings takes a treacherous trip across a minefield in Afghanistan.
You're watching ABC 7 News at 6.
Well, up next, Cheryl Jennings accompanies a Bay Area woman on a dangerous trek through an Afghanistan minefield.
Our decision was to take footsteps forward for peace.
We'll show you the slow and dangerous process of demining these fields and what has sprouted from the Roots of Peace. All right, tonight we continue our series Inside Afghanistan, a journey of hope.
ABC 7's Cheryl Jennings recently returned from a week-long visit there, and you actually walked through an active minefield during the time that you were there.
Yeah, and I came back, which is good. That's a very good thing. Yeah. We were with the founder of Roots of Peace, a San Rafael organization that raises money to remove landmines from war-torn countries. Heidi Kuhn and her teenage daughter wanted to see what's involved in removing landmines in Afghanistan and how their work is moving the country forward. Thousands of farmers in the Shomali Valley in Afghanistan are reaping the first major grape harvest without the fear of landmines after nearly 30 years of conflict. It's thanks to the vision of a mother of 4 from the San Francisco Bay Area. She and her daughter came to Afghanistan to see how the project is going.
A taste of peace, it's delicious.
Heidi Kuhn's San Rafael organization, Roots of Peace, raises money to remove landmines in war-torn countries, including Afghanistan. Her 18-year-old daughter, Kylie, raises money to remove landmines from school playgrounds and soccer fields.
This is something that needs to be done, the landmine issue. No progress can be made without landmines being taken out.
The Shomali Valley was on the front line in several battles. It used to be world famous for its sweet grapes and other crops. Some now call it the Devil's Garden because of the landmines and other unexploded ordnance. Not only that, the Taliban cut the grapevines down to the stumps.
Soviet minefields superimposed by Mujahideen minefields, superimposed by the coalition-led airstrikes, cluster bombs and so on. So you can imagine the kind of challenge that we faced.
Dr. Fareed heads the Halo Trust demining organization in Afghanistan. Halo was hired by Heidi Kuhn's Roots of Peace organization 3 years ago. Heidi was inspired by the late Princess Diana, who also worked with the Halo Trust.
But our system, you can see it's demining is labor intensive. It's a slow job. You have to check every square inch.
So why not hurry it up and use the big mine clearing machines we saw next to the roads?
You do not destroy the boundaries between the terraces and gardens, because this will create a lot of dispute over land and probably will cause fighting between two families or even villages.
That's why the slow and dangerous demining is done by hand. We followed Heidi and Kylie on their risky mission to see how that landmine work is done.
Our decision was to take footsteps forward for peace.
I think it was when they asked what my blood type was. That was a reality moment.
Be careful where you are. There's thunder in the ground.
Kylie Kylie led the way through an active minefield in a vineyard where we came within inches of a mine. The Halo trustee miner was trying to figure out if it'd been booby-trapped.
So you can see right now he is excavating with his trowel gently from one side. He's not excavating from top, and then you see he is probing. It's prodding.
Once the deminer learned the mine was not booby-trapped, it was time to blow it up in place. Another explosives expert laid a detonation cord. ABC7 cameraman Mike Clark set up his camera about 30 yards away. We moved back about 100 yards and waited.
From the heart of a mother and walking hand in hand with my daughter through a minefield was an experience I will never forget.
It was extraordinary to realize how much of a danger it would be had someone just, not known it would be a minefield and walked through.
The Halo trustee miners told me that anytime you see an entrance or an exit in a wall like this, you can count on there being a landmine. In fact, they found 26 landmines just in this garden alone.
Never give up, faith and love will intertwine. In the darkest night, there still stands a vine.
As they were demining, there was a farmer that was right behind tilling the ground, just as excited to, start his life with the dignity of farming and feed his family.
As we remove these deadly seeds of landmines, we can plant the seeds of hope for the future.
The fruit of the vine.
You can find out more about my trip to Afghanistan at abc7news.com. Click on Inside Afghanistan and then select Cheryl's photos for a slideshow of pictures from the trip. Or you can click on Cheryl's blog for more insight on our journey of hope. Now, tomorrow at 5 o'clock, we're going to visit a Red Cross clinic in Kabul where we met landmine victims undergoing rehabilitation. You're going to see their incredible spirit and how Roots of Peace is reaching out to them.
Such horrible injuries from that. And I think, despite all this work, only about 25% of the country has been demined at this point. Right?
They have 70 million landmines to go.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Thank you, Cheryl. Don't walk through any more minefields, would you, please? Thank you.
This is ABC7 News at 5.
I could never imagine the atrocities that landmines cause.
A Bay Area group gets a tour inside an International Red Cross clinic helping landmine victims rebuild their lives. Now, in just a moment, another look at Afghanistan from my personal journey. When we come back, the International Red Cross opens up its doors to a Bay Area group, offering a glimpse to the treatment landmine victims receive on their road to recovery. All this week, we've been following the work of a Bay Area group that raises money to remove landmines in Afghanistan and other war-torn countries. Tonight, as my Afghanistan series continues, we follow Roots of Peace founder Heidi Kuhn to meet landmine victims at a rehabilitation clinic. Dr. Alberto Cairo has run the International Committee of the Red Cross Clinic in Kabul for 16 years. He and his staff treat victims of landmines and other problems that cost them their limbs. This 15-year-old boy has a long road ahead of him. He will need 15 to 20 new custom-made legs because he's still growing. Each leg costs $200, but the International Red Cross provides them for free.
We are very, very happy that he's here. He will get a leg, he will walk, he will work again, so that life is start again for him.
The Bay Area's Heidi Kuhn wanted to meet some of those landmine victims to see how her organization could help.
I could never imagine the atrocities that landmines cause.
Heidi's 18-year-old daughter Kylie came with her because Kylie raises money to remove landmines around schools and soccer fields in Afghanistan. Heidi founded Roots of Peace in San Rafael in 1997 to raise money to remove landmines in war-torn countries, including Afghanistan. That life-saving work has allowed thousands of Afghan farmers to reclaim their vineyards. Now they're harvesting a record 800 tons of grapes this year. When the patients here learned about Heidi and Kylie's work to get rid of landmines, they thanked them. And they posed for pictures with Heidi, Kylie, ABC7 cameraman Mike Clark, and me.
But every single person that we met had a smile on their face, had a word of kindness and gratitude to us as Americans for just being there.
It was overwhelming at first to see so many people walking around with no legs, trying to get used to their new prosthetic limbs.
If you have never ever thought about a landmine or the potential destructive power it can have, this clinic is a real reality check because landmines can affect men, women, and children.
This 17-year-old is a new patient. He recently stepped on a landmine which blew off his legs. He's been depressed, but now that he's walking again, he's thinking about going back to school. We saw women and children in one part of the outdoor clinic. Some were landmine victims. Others lost the use of their legs because of malnutrition or disease, all caused by wars that deprive them of proper nutrition and medical care.
Seeing the faces of these dear children here in Afghanistan and their fathers and mothers and those who have been so unfortunate to step on landmines inspires me ever so deeply to continue this work.
We soon learned the patients here have an incredible spirit and courage in dealing with their injuries.
They're not landmine victims, they are landmine survivors.
I lost my leg, above knee, and then at that time I was in the school. Just in that time I was 10 years old.
This therapist has moved on with her life. Now she treats other landmine victims. The entire staff is Afghan and disabled, except for Dr. Cairo. And there are other jobs at the Red Cross compound. Dr. Cairo showed us the factory where equipment is made to help the patients. It's just across the compound. All of the parts are made on site that go into making crutches, wheelchairs, and prosthetic limbs. The prosthetics are made out of recycled plastic. They start by melting the old plastic in the oven, and they can recycle plastic 9 times. All of the employees here have a disability, like this man who lost a leg. He's making a part for a crutch.
And that's what I've seen about the resilience nature of the Afghans, is that they want to work.
But there aren't enough jobs for all the landmine victims, so Heidi Kuhn offered to have the Roots of Peace staff in Afghanistan hire some of the patients.
It's not so easy to find someone willing to help mine victims to start again alive, and this is very good.
Kylie met this 18-year-old at the clinic who lost his leg and part of his body from a landmine. So Roots of Peace hired him as a soccer coach for a girls' soccer team. The girls play soccer at the Roots of Peace compound in Kabul, while their mothers attend educational programs nearby. So Roots of Peace has formed another partnership. This one will help landmine survivors walk into the future.
And for more information on Roots of Peace, log on to our website, abc7news.com, and we will link you to their website. Now, tomorrow night at 6, I'm going to show you the historic grape harvest in Afghanistan, and you'll see how Roots of Peace and UC Davis played a major role.
Hard to watch those horrible injuries. Some landmines just don't discriminate. They're one of the cruelest weapons ever devised.
They're so grateful to have a limb, though, because they can work again.
Yeah. And I know they're doing a tremendous education because so many refugees are coming from Pakistan and Iran back to Afghanistan. They need to be told that there's this landmine
Yeah,
danger.
so there's a great program going on there.
Look forward to your report tomorrow.
Thank you.
You're watching ABC 7 News at 6.
And a Bay Area woman helping the farmers of Afghanistan reap a bountiful harvest. That is tonight's ABC 7 Salute. Well, she is making a difference, real difference, in a war-torn country.
It was just incredible to see the fruits of our labor, to see the dollars.
Up next, we salute a Marin County woman who's helped convert the fields of Afghanistan from mines to vines. This week, we've been showing you the impact a Bay Area woman and her daughter have had on the people of Afghanistan, one penny at a time. Tonight, ABC 7's Cheryl Jennings is here with more on that story.
Well, this is an amazing woman. Tonight, ABC 7 salutes Heidi Kuhn. She is the founder of Roots of Peace in San Rafael for her vision and inspiration. It is helping Afghan farmers reap their biggest grape harvest in decades on former minefields.
It's a new day and a new beginning for Afghanistan. It's a country on the move again after decades of war and civil conflict that left it bombed to rubble and heavily mined. Reconstruction is underway in the capital of Kabul, and farmers are slowly starting to go back to their fields after the landmines are removed. In fact, this year, many grape farmers are reaping the biggest harvest in nearly 3 decades.
It's very beautiful.
The end of a 7-year drought helped, and San Rafael's Heidi Kuhn had something to do with this through her Roots of Peace organization. This mother of 4 raises money to remove landmines in war-torn countries.
You can make a difference.
Her husband Gary travels back and forth to monitor the project in Afghanistan. It was an idea Heidi came up with in 1997.
You know, Mines to Vines was just a toast. There was nothing that really we had to show for it except a vision from our heart to make a difference.
The demining success led to a partnership with other agencies to improve the crops. That's why we followed her and her daughter Kylie to Afghanistan to see the harvest that's making history.
We hope with a good story that you're all able to show America how the success of Mines to Vines is working.
The seeds of love and hope have been planted in the ground.
This Afghan farmer in the Shamali Valley learned new techniques through the Roots of Peace Consortium.
The yield is high and he is very happy.
Our extension program is working with them to increase the size and the quality of the grapes as they come out of the field. At that point, we can put them into the table grape market.
Roots of Peace partnered with the University of California at Davis, sending grape experts to train Afghan workers 2 years ago. The other partner is USAID. That's the federal government's agency for international development, which gave them a $10 million grant.
Roots of Peace came in with this idea to rebuild the vineyards again, and it links in perfectly with our overall agricultural assistance program.
The newly trained Afghan extension workers are training farmers in a number of techniques new to them.
This is the way farmers in Afghanistan currently grow their grapes. They plant them on an earthen mound and let the leaves trail on the ground, and you can find the grapes underneath, little bunches like this. They're small, and they actually touch the dirt.
The UC Davis trained extension workers showed farmers how to raise their vines on trellises. Those are the tall wooden poles you see there.
We brought with us the cuttings, we brought with us the tools to teach them how to cut, how to prune, how to graft.
This is one of our cold storage units that we just installed here in the Shamali Plain.
Zach Lee heads the Roots of Peace operation in Afghanistan. He says the new cold storage containers are key to the marketing plan to preserve the grape's shelf life for export. This is part of the enormous harvest in Kandahar. It also has cold storage units for the first time.
Got to be able to bring them in out of the field, pack them into nice looking boxes, and put them in a cold storage unit before they then go into a refrigerated container and either shipped by road or by air.
This year's harvest is expected to yield 800 tons of grapes for export, up from 8 tons last year.
It was just incredible to see the fruits of our labor, to see the dollars, every penny actually put to such good use.
Right now, the biggest cash crop for export in Afghanistan is the poppy crop for opium. We asked the mission director of USAID in Afghanistan if drug lords might be threatened by a massive grape crop.
They're going to try to go and find the least resistance. They're going to go to places where they can get away with it.
Poppy farmers will hear about the huge harvest with bigger and better grapes and the Roots of Peace Consortium's work to introduce the grapes to the world market.
So if we do those two things properly, they're going to make more money harvesting grapes than doing poppies.
Don't you know there are angels watching over you? And the minefields of your life will someday bloom.
And so tonight we salute Heidi Kuhn, her Roots of Peace organization, and the consortium for their historic work in Afghanistan, changing lives. Now we have a link to the Roots of Peace website at abc7news.com. Just click on ABC7 Salutes. You can also go there to tell us about someone you know whom we should salute.
And these farmers are now seeing the profits from these grapes.
It has already doubled the price of grapes.
Remarkable. Terrific
Just
work
2
all
years.
week on your reporting from Afghanistan.
Thank you.